tonight. What could be a historic vote moments away. Tampa City councilors on the verge of making one of the biggest decisions in the city's history. Should they help the Rays build a stadium in Tampa along Dale Mabry Avenue? This stadium could cost about $2.4 billion. That's all of the development, everything else, not just the ballpark, but the ballpark, a central figure of this, of course. $80 million of that will come from the city. So what will they decide? Fox 13's Evan Axelbank is live at City Hall with the very latest. Hi there, Evan. I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. We had the mayor basically celebrating last week, thinking they had the votes. Now we have a lot of public comment today. Nothing's final until it's final. Do we know yet when they're going to vote?
Well, I can tell you that just this second they did vote. They had been on the verge of voting. They went back and forth with the city attorney. And now I can tell you that the city of Tampa has indeed agreed to pay for their portion of the Rays' $2.4 billion stadium. The vote was 4-3, so very close. But obviously this is a major reversal from what we saw just a few months ago when the stadium barely mustered 2 to 3 votes on city council. And so this is going to move forward. Now it's going to be up to the county tomorrow. Take a look. The Rays and the city of Tampa have agreed to an $80 million loan to the team to be paid for in 4 installments. That's just 3% of the $2.4 billion total cost, but that 3% was a big topic today. This was about a 5 to 6 hour meeting where the topic was discussed. The loan is going to be paid off by the revenue from the surrounding development. At least that's the plan, though the city could have interest payments to make on what they borrow to pay the Rays in the first place. Now, the opposition to this deal questioned during the debate today whether the 12,000 jobs and $80 billion of economic activity that has been estimated to the county will come true. Here's a small sample of this very long discussion.
Supporting the project was never meant giving anyone a free pass. It has never meant abandoning scrutiny, accepting weak terms, or placing the interest of private organizations ahead of the people that we represent. We asked very difficult questions. We examined the numbers. We pressed for strong protections. We negotiated improvements. And we insisted that the agreement deliver meaningful value for Tampa. That work made this proposal stronger.
The question today is, will the 7 of us recognize that we are ethically and morally obligated to start over and find a better deal for the city we represent and its citizens? Now is the time to prove that Tampa is the smart city. Tampa's the one that finally said no to the surge of forcing taxpayers to subsidize billionaire team owners.
Well, indeed, Lynn Hurtak wound up on the losing side of this discussion just now with Alan Clendenin, the chair you saw there, getting his way and seeing the 4-3 vote to approve this deal for the Rays and the city of Tampa. Now, the city is going to be contributing $80 million, the county contributing $796 million. The total public ask is $876 million for this stadium, or about 37% would come from public funds. The rest would come from the Rays, and they would also be responsible for any overages. Now, the county, they are going to vote tomorrow. They have agreed to a deal with the Rays and with the city of Tampa to receive a $4 million lease payment from the Rays. That is a big increase from what they had expected during the original MOU. So the question is whether county commissioners are going to approve that part of this deal tomorrow. There's a lot of paperwork to go through. The project certainly has momentum now that it did not have last time. Last time the county commission vote was 5-2. We'll see if that holds. We'll see if there's any change in support on county commission. But Mark, it does have something this time that it did not have last time, which is a seal of approval from the Tampa City Council.
Yeah, this is a big
step. And I should say tomorrow's vote will be at 9 a.m. at Hillsborough County Commission.
And to your point, they had the votes before, so I think most people do expect that to pass tomorrow. All right, let's jump ahead quickly. If we do, which sounds likely, get the county commission approval next week, the Rays have said they're going to have shovels in the ground as early as September, right? Because now they've got that April 2029 deadline to meet for opening day.
Well, not only do they have a baseball deadline to meet, but there were all kinds of questions with the state budget. Are there going to be lawsuits over this? Remember, the county has been sued before over their use of sales tax money. The question is whether it's legal for the stadium to get money for that had been slated as part of the CIT sales tax money. And then, of course, you have Amendment 3, and that could be a big deal in all of this. How much money is the county going to depend on from property taxes? And does Amendment 3 change this formula if that does pass? So they would probably be behooved to begin construction as quickly as possible, just because it's much more difficult to stop a project once it starts. But that's all strategy. None of that is, journalism or reporting. I'm just kind of looking at it from a legal perspective here. It is something that the Rays could argue that they could say, hey, it's much more difficult to stop this once the shovels are in the ground. And the question then becomes, how quickly do we see shovels in the ground? If they pass it tomorrow, I would not be surprised. I don't have anything confirmed on this, but to see construction beginning as soon as next week.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. The ball is clearly in play, for sure, for the first time in, never. Evan Axelnick live reporting for us. Evan, thanks so much for the breaking news.